Hey, so listen, guys. This deck right here, I have had for a long time. I can't even remember when I bought it. It was not a gift. I bought it with my own money. As soon as I saw it, I snatched it. And I got the deck. I've been using the deck for a long time. Um, I love it. It's awesome. As a matter of fact, I did a deep dive with this deck. I studied each and every card because as you're getting ready to see, it deviates a little bit from traditional tarot. It is Hoodoo Tarot, so it's a beautiful synthesis of the two. So I felt like, okay, I need to study these cards, just to get the theme and to really understand what the artist, the creator, everybody is trying to convey. And my family is from the Hoodoo tradition. My great grandmother was a Hoodoo practitioner, what they call a root worker. And I didn't know anything about it growing up because in my family, that was grown folks' business. Okay. And if you wasn't a grown folk, you didn't know about that. I was 30 before someone told me, my mother told me about it. I was already practicing. I've been practicing since I was 21. So I've been practicing for many years before my mother revealed to me that our family was of the Hoodoo tradition. So, of course, I love this deck. I recognize all of the symbolism in the deck. I grew up in Philadelphia, so many of the people of the North, our roots are in the South. So many of the sayings, the expressions, like it just felt like home to me. It was like a homecoming. It's a beautiful deck. But I never did a review about it because I assumed that I really couldn't add anything to the conversation because the deck was so old. So I never reviewed it. I've been using it, deep dived with it, love it to death, use it with my clients, use it in my ancestor readings. It's stunning. But I never reviewed it. So fast forward a couple of months ago, I was sent this for review as a gift from Inner Visions, and it was sent to me as a gift for the purposes of doing an honest review of it. So I was like, well, if I'm going to review the workbook, I have to review the deck because they go hand in hand. You don't have to use them together, but it's the smartest thing to do. So today, that is why we're here. I am going to give you a full review of this tarot deck as someone who has been using it for a very long time. And I'm going to talk to you about, what I've learned, my aha moments. And underneath this video, I'm going to put a link to where you could purchase this deck, this book, and I'm going to link my book review because I'm going to do a book review of this workbook right after I finish this so that people who really want to do this work can have those resources to help them along. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. My name is QueenAusetHeru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to anyone and everyone who might like it as well. Please drop us a positive comment in the comment section. And if you want to get a reading done, please hit me up. This is what I do. This is what I do. I would love to read you from this deck or any of the other 300 decks that I have in here. So please email me or hit me up on social media. Underneath this video, you will find all of my information as well as my PayPal, my Cashapp, in case you want to send a donation to the channel. My Amazon wish list is under there, all kinds of good stuff and resources for you. I put a number of resources specifically for subscribers under there. Okay. All right, let's get started. First of all, this is a huge box, okay? And I'm like, okay, but it has to be a huge box because it really comes with a huge guidebook, okay? So let me show you really fast the full front of the box. This is what you get. And of course, the other part is inside of here like a sleeve. Good card. I've had it for a while. As you can see, it's no damage to it. This is the price when I bought it. I don't think it's this much anymore. So click on the link underneath this video and you can see exactly how much it is right now. If you want to read about this part, please feel free to screenshot it. And it also tells you all about the creator and about the publisher. Okay. Let's move that over. When we're done, I will actually take one card and read it for you. I'll read you the summary that is in this tremendous guidebook. And there's a lot of information in here. This is the perfect deck for a deep dive. Because when you go into this deck, there is the card name, the traditional meaning. There is a Bible verse. There's a plant associated with the card, the image, the meaning of the card, and my favorite part right there, things to consider. So for each card, there's those things to consider, which I use for journaling purposes. And there's plenty of them. It's like 10 of them there, you know? So this is awesome. I'm going to read one of these. That's the major arcana. Let's look at the minor arcana real quick. So the minor arcana isn't as extensive, but you do get the plant. And I'm seeing positive and negative in here. So that's good, because that's telling me that it gives it to us if it comes up in the upright or the reverse. So that's good. So I'll do more with that when we're done. Then you get to the cards themselves. They're stacked like that. I'm going to take out one so I can show you the card's thickness. Nice, right? And remember I said they're a little glossy. Not, you know, if you're using lights like I am, you're going to have that issue. You're going to have to figure out how to, you know, tilt them. As you can see, there's a border. Here's the back. Hoodoo has a lot of workings with keys. And this looks like the southern part of the United States. And the Hoodoo culture, its tradition is in the southern, particularly southeast part of the United States. All right. Now, I'm going to pull this together so I can show you each and every card and talk about my process of working with them. So these are, they really are a unique experience because of, you know, every deck that has a theme, which a lot of them do have themes nowadays, luckily enough. Every deck that has a theme is really special to its theme. There you go. There we go. So the first thing that you're going to notice about this deck is that the cards have all been renamed. Almost all of them. You'll see what I'm talking about. They've almost all been renamed. And they're named after famous elders from the Hoodoo tradition. Many of them were real people. I think, if I'm not mistaken, all of them come from history. Their stories are sometimes exaggerated or not, depending upon the situation. But that's the first thing that you're going to notice is that each card has been renamed. So that's the first one. And then check out the color scheme. I love the colors because I'm a color person and there aren't like those bold, you know, you're not going to get those neon colors from here, but you do get a lot of different color gradients and it keeps your eye moving. And like I said before, these, like if you're somebody who studies history, if you're an elder, or if you're somebody who studies the history of the South or the history of Hoodoo, you'll recognize some of these people, like I said, from the traditions, the histories, the stories. As soon as I saw it, I didn't remember any of them like 100%, but the names all rang a bell. So our grandmothers, great-grandmothers, great-great-grandmothers would have been very familiar, those of us who were from this part of the world, they would be very familiar with these kind of, these stories and the history of these people for a lot of them, if they were involved in Hoodoo or not. Isn't that beautiful? I love the fact that the Hoodoo culture, like I said, is predominantly has a strong African-American vibration, but you also see Native American, and you see some other energies from other cultures that are in it that were around during that time period, right? So you see that reflected in the cards. And that's what one of the things I love so much is that it's the history. All the elders you're going to see here, they're all history. So if you're somebody who doesn't know who these elders are, you can still read with this deck, because you can take the time to study, because the book tells you everything you need to know, who they are, what they did, all that kind of stuff. But also, if you know numbers, number 4 is always the emperor. So if you know number 4, you know the emperor, you know the basic energy of the card. And you're going to see that throughout this deck. Now, I personally believe that that's okay. If you want to use it that way, it's okay, because I did use it that way at first. But to me, it's mediocre, because the richness of this deck is really learning the history, the culture, the symbolism of what the author, the creator, is trying to show us. So you can use this and read it like traditional tarot if you want to, but I challenge you to take it a step further and learn what courting means in this culture. You know, this is the 6th card, so we can use this as the lovers, but it goes beyond that. So I say, read up on it, take a look at it. I think a lot of people will be very interested in the correlations and, you know, the plants and all those kind of things. So it's really interesting in those ways. It's an awesome deck. It's nothing about this deck I don't like. I was sitting here thinking to myself, like, what are the pros and the cons? And there aren't. See, this is the thing about it. I love the size of the deck. It's the perfect size for shuffling. So when I'm reading a client, it's perfect for, you know, using with myself or with others. I like the fact that the African Americans and the Africans that are in this deck are all different skin tones. Some are lighter, some are darker, some are older, some are younger. There's a lot of diversity going on even within this one group, because that's how every group is. If you take any group of people, there's diversity within even that group, you know. And this deck is one of the kind of decks that shows that diversity. And I like that it didn't shy away from elders. The whole first major arcana is elders, and a lot of decks shy away from elders. All you see is young people, you know, young, happy, bright, you know, spiritually inclined people. But with this deck, they have such a reverence to the ancestors and to the elders. And this is very Southern, very hoodoo in tradition. I grew up being taught to respect my elders, and it was treated like it was something that was sacred and something that was important. So you see that reflected in the first 22 cards of the deck. So I really enjoyed that as soon as I opened it. I also loved hearing, you know, all these stories, like Gullah Jack, for example. I've heard this story many, many times, you know. So I loved hearing these stories and looking at the beauty. The artwork is really intense and beautiful. And it makes you think. Like, look at the death card. So it's an ancestors card. And so ancestors, death. And this figure in the bed is half alive and half not. You know, one arm looks dead, one arm looks lively. You know, these images are intense, and they really talk to me, especially while I'm sitting there doing readings. This is one of my favorite cards in the deck. And you see again the colors. Not a lot of colors, but splashes here and there. And the splashes of color are very important. For example, purple is really important to the African and Hoodoo traditions. Purple is seen as like royalty. Some would say of the priesthood. So we have a man here, Father Sims, who I would, you know, view as a priest, basically. And he's clearly doing some type of, in my opinion, ritual, magic spell, something like that, you know. Now, if you read the guidebook, they'll tell you exactly what's going on in the picture. But I just love this. I love his, again, look at his beard. He's an elder. I just love it. The wisdom on his face. This is one of my favorite cards. And of course, it just takes me back. You know, I wasn't born, of course, during this time period. I was born in 1977. So all these images are images I saw, like, you know, when they show the history of this or the history of that. Even the color scheme that she's using was a similar color scheme, because everything was in black and white back then. Let me tell y'all something. I'm so old I'm not that old, but I'm so old that I had a black and white TV. Okay, most of you probably will never even see a black and white TV, but I owned one. When I was a girl, I had a black and white TV. And this is the color gradient that you would see when you were watching that black and white TV. And when pictures first came out, they didn't have color. So this is the colors that you would see. So hoodoo tradition goes all the way back to the old South. So this would be what it was like. These would be the colors, if they took pictures. And I love how certain ones where the illustrator wants to put emphasis, that's where you see the color. Like here, the brown hands, the red, coming up off of the flower. This says hope to me. And it is the star card, right? Yeah, it's a star card, hope. And the grandchildren are the hope. In the hoodoo community, in the African American community, I remember when I was a girl, it was always stated that the children are the future. That was the hope of the community. And it was a very strong bond. And that's the moon card. So like I said before, the creator, has given us such a great, look at that, such a great fusion of tarot and hoodoo. I love this because any of you, and look at the key on around her neck, any of you who grew up in the church, because a lot of hoodoo practitioners also went to church. It wasn't like you just had to do one or the other, People were hush-hush about their hoodoo work, but people who knew. If you were a reader or whatever the case is, or a root worker, people who needed your services knew. So what I really love about this one right here is that if you grew up in a church, in the hoodoo tradition or not, this is a very familiar visualization. The old ladies with the hats. The hats were serious in church. The hats were killing them. It was giving them a serious battle in church. And there was often food. Big Mama often made something for Sunday. And oftentimes, especially in the black church, in the southern black church that we would go to, there was like dinner after church. And in those churches, they was in church all day. You got up and went to church at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and you didn't get out of church at like 6 p.m. It wasn't no hour, like in Catholic church. I grew up in the Catholic church. My southern family are the ones that have taken me to those other types of, southern, Baptists. Those kind of family members took me to those. In a Catholic church, you walked in, you sang some hymns, you got some holy water, some wine, and you was gone in an hour. Not in the southern church. It's a whole social thing, It's not just the religious aspect, it's the spiritual aspect, but it's also a very large part of your socialization and sometimes your education as well. So this picture here, I've seen 1,000 times. I've seen that hat 1,000,000 times, This is the picture that's on the box. I like that picture very much. And this one here would be the world. Isn't that gorgeous? I love that card. I really love that. Because the world is about triumph and completion. It makes me feel like she has arrived. She's bought this beautiful home and got beautiful flowers outside. Her life is abundant and is flowing. I just think it's beautiful. And the minor arcana is fully illustrated. So I love that too. I have a couple decks that are pip-ish, I would call them, which means they're not fully illustrated like these are. But this deck luckily does not skim on the artwork. Every single card is fully illustrated. And as you look through them, you'll find more symbolisms, more interactions. The sticks are the wands for anybody that's wondering about the suit. They're the wands. All of the suits have been changed. So I'll tell you what each one is as I get to it. But each one has definitely been changed. So, like I said, and you'll notice here too, some of the cards are more modern than others. Like this one reminds me of like the old days, right? But some of them are much more modern. You'll also find among the symbolisms animals. Animals have different meanings in every tradition. And in the Hoodoo tradition, in the African tradition, alligators, crocodiles, alligators, they're known for their strength and their toughness. So in this card, you can see that. You see that reflected. But yeah, this is a very powerful and intense deck. Look at that. 8 wands. I love it. And this one is 9 wands. You got to look at all of the details. It's really important. Because if you just look at the image that pops out at you, you'll miss the richness of the card. All right, let me move a little faster because I'm talking too much. And I'm taking too long. Isn't that gorgeous? The other thing that you're going to find is that the court cards are not the same. This is the mother. Now, I don't know how these are supposed to be because she wants you to use them in the system that she put them in. So usually the mother is the queen, the father is the king. But I don't know if I don't even know if that's right. The father is the king, but that's what it feels like to me. Divine masculine, divine feminine, The daughter, she seemed to me to be the knight. And I only say that because every daughter is older than the son. You're getting ready to see the son. So that's how I placed them. So if you're somebody who gets very confused by the court cards, they've all been renamed the family cards. And now they take on that different connotation. So I would try to look at them. If you have to correspond them, that's how I corresponded them. And that could work for you. If not, just take them as she gave them. She gave them as the daughter, the son. Just take them as she gave them. That mothering energy, that fathering energy when you're doing your readings. Okay, so that's the first half. Now we're going to dig the other half out of the box. Oh my goodness. Whenever a box comes like this, it's not the easiest to pull the cards out, as some of you may already imagined. All right, let's get with it. I think the last card I showed you was the Son of Sticks. So now we're going into the Ace of Knives. Knives are swords, of course. Okay, there we go. Now, in the second half of this video, I'm going to talk a lot more about the exercises and the activities. This is gorgeous. Look at that. The exercises and the activities that go along with the book. So the book is meant to be used with this deck. And so there's a lot of activities and a lot of explanation too. I like how much information. I give a real in-depth video, real in-depth review about how the workbook works for you. Gorgeous. Look at that. Oh, that ocean in the background, right? My goodness. And I also love how the artwork is, remember I mentioned artwork earlier. The artwork is not a Rider-Waite-Smith clone. This is its own thing. Its own Southern hoodoo thing, A lot of decks, they just clone the pictures. And I love it when a deck goes rogue and gives you their interpretation of those concepts in their own way. So again, see, we hear the mother is first. So I'm getting like a matriarchal vibration from how the women are first. Love that. Love it. The only thing I think that this deck could have added, I would like to have seen more larger people. All the people in the deck seem to be about the same body type. Different colors, different heights, different ages, which is perfect. But I would have liked to see some larger people. But honestly, there is nothing else. And I guess if the creator was going to do an oracle deck or something like that, she could take that into consideration. But there is nothing else I would change about this deck. The baskets or the cups you're getting ready to see. Now tell me that don't look like somebody's grandparents. One of them old pictures you would see when you went to grandma's house, you know, I love that. That is what I love. If you are of this tradition, you know what I'm talking about. This reminds me of a backyard barbecue that we've all been to. 4 baskets. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Love it. I love the interpretation that the artist has given us. Baskets. So as you can see, it's different, but you still, if you're somebody who reads tarot, it is different. It's not exactly the same, but if you just focus for 5 seconds, you know, and really kind of read the things you don't understand, because that could be extremely helpful. It's not hard to understand. It's not hard at all. It's great for intuitive readers. And you don't have to be of the culture to use it. Maybe you're somebody who wants to learn more about the culture. It's a great way to learn. There's so much involved, especially if you get the workbook companion to it. The workbook just brings it all together. All the questions that you have after looking at the deck, the workbook answers. And then here we are again with our mother. Beautiful. Our father. I love it. Look at that. This takes me back. Those old movies like Gone with the Wind, you know, and we didn't have always the most flattering roles in a lot of those movies, but some of the times you can see these types of images if you look at some of those old Southern movies. This image right here, I've seen every holiday, every Thanksgiving. I've seen that image. That is probably sweet potato pie. And it has whipped cream on it. And I'm here for it. And I think that any of us from this tradition has at least seen that image, if not tasted it. I can taste that picture. I've ate so many pieces of sweet potato pie that I can literally, oh, she's gorgeous. Look at her. I love that. I can literally taste the picture. Okay, he's using the divining rods. And a lot of these you see different divination practices. Like that one was the divining rods. Awesome. Awesome. All right, so we are running out of time for me to be able to read. I wanted to read to you, but I'm not going to be able to read to you, but I will show you one more time what to expect. Ah, I love that with that cat, that fluffy cat. Gotta love a fluffy cat. And look at the family. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Everybody smiling. The whole family together. Mother of coins. Again with the cat. And the lavender. I hear that. Lavender is to help you relax. Mother of coins has to relax. The father. Looks like he's counting his coins. The daughter. And lastly, we have the son. So this is the entire deck, right? And because I don't have enough time, I only got about a couple minutes, a couple seconds actually. I just wanted to show you this one more time. So let's go inside. I told you about all the things that it has to offer. So just wanted to show you one more time, since I can't read it. The Bible quote goes along with the card. So this is a strength card, so it's going to be something about strength. Chamomile is the plant. Then here's our image. Talks about the image. Gives a lot of information. And then it talks about the meaning of the card. And of course, there's my favorite part right there about the questions. I love these questions. Great for journaling. All right, so that is my review of this awesome deck. So if you want to know more, please join us for the next video, and you'll be able to see how I used it with the Hoodoo Tarot Workbook. You come back soon because I got a lot more to say. See you later.